Hello, everybody, and welcome to my long awaited, anticipated movie review of the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe film, Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, for those of you who haven't seen my out of the theater reaction, I uploaded it last night, so if you haven't seen that, please go check that out. For those of you who do not know, Fantastic Four First Steps was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It was probably my most anticipated movie of the year outside of James Gunn's Superman. And there is a lot, and I mean a lot, I have to talk about. Not in regards to my overall experience with the film, but in regards to a certain rant that I have to get off my chest that I have been waiting for years. And I have been waiting for years to get off my chest. That I felt that needs to be said and needs to be addressed. But first off, let's get on to my movie review. Did I have a good time watching this movie? Absolutely. I said this in my out of the theater reaction. This is without question not only the most fun I had watching a fantastic movie. Uh, I'm sorry. Let me phrase that. This is the most fun I've had watching a Fantastic Four film since 2005. And I'm not gonna just say this is the best film adaptation to date. I say with a straight face and wholeheartedly that it is the most respectful, the most honorable, and the most decent adaptation of the fan that I've seen on the big screen. Um, and more importantly, and maybe shocking to you guys, this is the most fun I've had watching a Marvel movie, let alone a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, since Avengers Endgame, other than Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man No Way Home. And as much as I love James Gunn's Superman, and as much as I'm happy it's having the commercial and box office success that it's had over these past couple of months, I'm going to say this right now and wholeheartedly and brutal honesty. Fantastic Four First Steps, in my eyes, heart, and soul, is the comic book superhero movie of the year. I am being that serious. Um, let's start with, but before I get into more of the positives, let me get into the major issue I had with this movie. If for those of you who haven't kept up with the film's production, Marvel Studios decided to gender swap the Silver Surfer. And much like how I felt when Marvel Studios decided to gender swap the Ancient One during the production of the first Doctor Strange movie back in 2016, I was not a happy camper. But like I did and when I watched the first Doctor Strange film back in 2016, while I did respect and enjoy the Jenna Julia Gardner, the actress' performance, I still have this to say: the fact that you gender swapped one of the major characters of your film, but one of the major characters in the Marvel universe, was beyond freaking ridiculous and stupid. So, as I said, even though like I did when I saw the actress play her Ren, I respected and appreciated her performance, but at the same time, there was no reason, no business for them to gender swap the Silver Surfer. They should have kept that character the way the character was created. They should have kept that character the way he was. For those who don't know, in the comic, the Silver Surfer is a man. His real name is Norman Rad. And he is one of the major players, not only in the Fantastic Four comics, but in the Marvel Universe as a whole. And the fact that they gender swapped that character did not make me one happy camper. But thankfully, though, it did not ruin my movie going experience. Now, outside of that negative, the movie, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute blast to watch. I mean, let's start with the main cast. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. He was awesome. He, to me, was the best actor to portray Reed Richards since Leon Griffith back in the Tim Story Fantastic Four films. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. She was brilliant. As a matter of fact, as much as I respect and enjoy Jessica Alba's performance as the character in the Tim Story Fantastic Four films, Vanessa Kirby's blows hers out of the water without question. Joseph Quinn, who portrays Johnny Storm, he was great. And even though I will say he was the best person to portray Johnny Storm since Chris Evans. I'm glad he did not try to copy nor be like Chris Evans' version of Johnny Storm. That was awesome. And last but not least, Ebon Moss Backrog as Ben Grimm slash The Thing. He was awesome. He did that character so well. He is easily, in my mind, the best actor that I've seen portray Ben Grimm since Michael Chiklis. And the action was, I'm sorry. He did the role so well. I was like, yes, that's my boy Ben Grimm right there. And for those who don't know, Ben Grimm is my personal favorite member of the Fantastic Four. Has been since I was a kid. Galactus, voiced and portrayed by Ralph Ineson. Ineson, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was great. And FYI, both Galactus and Ben Grimm looked like they were literally ripped right out of the comics. The last time I had that positive to say about comic book characters' look and design in a movie was back when I saw the Louis Rotella directed Incredible Hulk film back in 2008. So, and plus, for all you Galactus fans, Galactus in this movie 100% looks like Galactus and acts like Galactus. He was done well. The action in this movie was great. The comedic aspects of this movie was great. There were a lot of that where I was laughing my ass off. They didn't feel forced. They didn't feel stupid. They felt genuine, and they actually felt hilarious. The overall CGI visual special effects were top notch. They were really done that damn well. Um, um, they were that damn good. But most importantly, I gotta give a huge shout out to the film's director, Max Shackman, the individual that did the WandaVision series. My good sir, you deserve not only a bonus, a raise, but a goddamn promotion. Okay, you did the not only right well, but you did them with the utmost honor, respect, dignity, decency, and most of all, you did your damn due diligence. If the spirits of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby are watching right now, they would not only feel impressed and happy, they would feel honored and proud knowing that the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears they put in bringing these characters to life would not only not be forgotten, but would have not have been for nothing. But what really made me love this movie was the fact that as I was watching this movie, and I rarely say this when I watch thing or whatever, as I was watching this movie, I felt truly honored and proud to be a fan of the Fantastic Four. I know it may sound a bit over theatrical, but let me explain. And it also reminded me why I became a fan of these characters. For those who do not know, since when I was six, I discovered the Fantastic Four when I was 6 years old. When I watched reruns of the 1967 animated series on Boomerang. They were, to not cut the bolt, to say be simple to the point, my introduction to the Marvel Comics franchise. That's right, they were the first Marvel characters I was introduced to, let alone develop fandom of. And I still to this day have so much nostalgia and love for the. If it wasn't for the Fantastic Four, my interest, let alone my fandom of the Marvel Comics franchise, would not be where it is today if it wasn't for the Fantastic Four. Oh, that's just me telling the truth and being brutally honest about it. But what made me even happier after I saw this movie, the fact that the Fantastic Four are finally getting not only the love, but the appreciation and the recognition, and most of all, the respect that I felt that has been well deserved and long overdue. Which is something that I am going to have to touch upon right now in this rant. Um, for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been able to breathe, let alone walk this great earth, For far too long, I've heard legions of people, never mind criticize or show their quote unquote for the, but insult their very name, insult their very existence, and worst of all, insult their place in history, let alone our pop culture, for far and for way too fucking long. You know, for people to say that the Fantastic Four are insignificant, useless, worthless, waste of space, waste of ink, is not only bullshit, but not true. And beyond fucking ignorant, arrogant, obnoxious on so many levels. You know, this is where I don't usually wish harm on people, but this is where I'm. Not only do I want these people to not only get their ass kicked, but to be shipped off to the fucking moon. I'm dead ass. Regardless of the fact that I did or didn't create these characters, and regardless whether I'm a fan of these characters, the fact that legions of people have expressed their distaste or disappointment with these characters on such a psychotic, deranged level, and to disrespect them, insult them for their very existence, for their place in history, for their place in pop culture, is beyond irritating to me. It's disturbing. The Fantastic Four are not just great characters, to me anyway. They are historically and culturally significant and important characters. If it wasn't for them, the Marvel Comics franchise would not be where it is today. I mean, yes, they are not the first Marvel characters to be created. You had Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, Namor the Submariner, and Captain America Steve Rogers. But Marvel Comics, even though it was originally known as Timely Comics, didn't take off as this massively successful and popular and iconic company that it is known as today until the 1960s, starting with the Fantastic Four in 1961. This is not me being a delusional fan or let alone fanboy. This is me stating the facts and the goddamn honest truth. The Fantastic Four paved the way for future generations of Marvel characters, regardless if you are or aren't a fan of these characters. Characters like Spider-Man, characters like the Hulk, characters like the X-Men, the Avengers, the Inhumans, the Defenders, the Silver Surfer, the Punisher, Doctor Doom. The list goes on and on and on. The fact that these lowlives, these ingrates, these degenerates refuse to see, accept, and respect their place in history, let alone our pop culture, is disgusting. The fact that these people act like these characters don't have a right to exist is just disturbing to me at this point. The fact that they've been insulted, let alone disrespected, insulted for as long as I can remember, and in the manner of which they've been, should never have happened or started in the first place. Now, yes, I know they are not real. I know I didn't create them. I'm a fan. But I'm an individual who accepts, respects, and appreciates history. The Fantastic Four are part of history. You know, remember the Counselor Ricks from Rick and Morty? How much you want to bet they were heavily inspired by the Counselor Reeds? The Counselor Ricks are better. That's not the point, nor do I give a shit. That's not the point, nor relevant to what I'm saying. The fact is, the Counselor Ricks that you love so much in your beloved Rick and Morty show were heavily inspired by the Counselor Reeds from the Fantastic Four comic books. It's got nothing to do with whether or not you're a fan, it's the goddamn fact. Or unless you want to hear the Fantastic Four suck, the Fantastic Four are garbage, the Fantastic Four are underwhelming. That's the only thing you want to hear nor care about, like the shit that comes out of your own ass. Go show you how degenerative people can be in this society. The fact that I can sit there and say that a group of characters that never mind that I loved, that have had a tremendous and ginormous impact and influence in our pop culture that is still going on right now is finally being seen for who and what they actually are, not just as characters, but historically pop culture icons, brings an even bigger smile and joy to my heart. The fact that the Fantastic Four, regardless if they're not doing as great as the box office compared to James Gunn's Superman, means nothing to me. The fact that people now, I remember when I was waiting for the movie to see the movie, that teenagers, young adults, were checking out the Fantastic Four comics. That they showed an interest in the characters. That they were willing to give them a shot. The fact that they're willing to give them the time of day, the respect and their appreciation makes it all the worthwhile. The fact that I can sit there in a straight face and tell you that a fucking film adaptation made me proud and honored to be a fan of these characters. If that doesn't impress you, I don't know what the hell does. Um, I mean, I know not everyone liked it. I'm sorry. But for us to be simple and to be nice about it, what I saw was a completely and utterly different film. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the fact of the matter is that the Marvel's first family, notice that key, notice that statement, Marvel's first family, is finally getting their due, getting the respect and appreciation that is what that has been long that has been taken from them. Brings a smile to my face, not just as a fan of them personally, but as an individual who loves, respects, and appreciates the history of our pop culture. Brings a joy and brings not only a tear to my eye, even though there's no tears coming out of my eyes right now, but the fact of the matter is they're finally getting their due, man. As LeBron James said when he won his first NBA title, it's about damn time. It's about, and for those people that give this excuse, because the movies prior to this were terrible. That is not only a terrible excuse, but a disgraceful excuse. Just because, first of all, here's why the previous Fantastic Four movies weren't that successful. It's not because of the characters themselves. Maybe it's because of the fucking movie studio not doing their due diligence and doing an absolute borderline perfect job in honoring, respecting, and appreciating the source material, especially the ones that was given to us by the creators themselves, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. They're the motherfuckers that gave these characters life. And the fact that there are people out there who insult their existence, insult their very name, is disgraceful. Like, what the hell did they do to you? So what if you felt underwhelmed or disappointed by them? That's doesn't give you the right to act deranged psycho about it, let alone bitch and complain about their existence. So, sorry for acting like a psycho or deranged individual, but I have to get this shit off my fucking chest. Because I have been waiting and waiting for the perfect opportunity and time to do it. And I have to say it. It had to be said, and it needed to be said. But the Fantastic Four are far from shit characters, let alone insignificant, worthless characters. They are timeless, they are important, and they are significant to the continuous growth of our pop culture. The fact they are finally getting their fucking due is a damn time. That's important. And that right there uh, is more important than your personal bias. And way more credible and way more legitimate, I have to say this, than your personal bias. The fact that people now, for the first, probably since their conception, are finally welcoming the Fantastic Four into their lives. I mean, damn. The fact that I there's a there I just I'm not crying and sad as I'm actually crying and tearing up in joy right now. I have dreamt of a day like this or a time like this for so long that people can finally see and experience their greatness, their significance and importance to our pop culture. You know, and once again, doesn't matter whether or not I did or didn't create the characters. It's got nothing to do with it. It's the fact that people want to act like psychos, deranged motherfuckers over a opinion a over a group of fictional characters is just pathetic. And to trollishly and disrespectfully insult their name, existence, and place in our pop culture and history is disturbing. They're finally getting their due. As I'm talking about, more and more people are getting into the Fantastic Four, regardless whether you yourself are a fan of that team. And that to me is way more valuable, way more credible than your potential taste or distaste. I can sit there and feel proud and honored to be a fan of this team. And don't get me wrong, I've always loved the fan. I will always will love the Fantastic Four. But this is probably the first time, one of those times where I get to feel proud and honored to be a fan of something, let alone to be a fan of something, let alone someone. And that's what made that movie going experience for me worth it. It was made with not only worth watching, but worth every fucking penny. So, I'm done ranting. If you want to know my grade on a scale from an A plus to a FU, it gets an A plus. On a scale from 1 to a 10, it gets a 10 out of 10. Despite the fact that they gender swapped the Silver Surfer, it does not take away. Despite that stupid shit, it still gets a massive high grade, and it still gets a high score. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this review as well as the rant. Hope you understand where I'm coming from. With that being said, I may do, depending upon if my friends are up to it, but I may do a collaboration spoiler talk with a couple of friends of mine. So stay tuned for that. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.